We are live. Hey there, how is it going? It is your muscle building and fitness coach, Lee Hayward, with another live Q&A for the Total Fitness Bodybuilding channel. And today, this is our first video chat of 2026, so happy new year to you. And one of the key things that I want to discuss during today's topic or today's video chat is the idea of goal setting, because here it is for a new year. This is the time when a lot of people are going to be setting some goals and resolutions. People are probably going to be starting back to the gym or joining the gym for the first time. This is the start of new beginnings, and it's exciting. I mean, it's always exciting to embark on a new adventure or new beginnings or to start again. But sometimes that excitement can be can go astray, if you will. And what I mean by that is sometimes people can get too excited, bite off more than they can chew, and very often end up not achieving those goals, not setting the targets that they aimed for, and getting very discouraged and disheartened in the process. So I want to put a dose of good, healthy reality here and help you to, I guess, evaluate what's most important and what you can focus on realistically achieving this year, and kind of set your sights on that. And I would rather narrow the focus down and actually achieve a few key goals that are meaningful versus shooting for them, shooting for the stars and then hoping that you end up on the moon. That type of approach, which is what a lot of people do, getting too ambitious, biting off more than they can chew, and then very often getting overwhelmed in the process. All right. So first off, I want to welcome you to our chat. I see we have several people popping onto the live stream here now, which is great to see. We have some regulars coming through. We have Lee saying it is coming through loud and clear, and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. Glad to have you joining in. AJ saying, I forgot it was Friday. Yeah, Friday again. I know when you're in the holiday season, days just blur. It's hard to know what day it is sometimes. So yeah, this is kind of a bit of a blur, but yeah, it is Friday. We're going live at 5 on Friday. So here we are. We got Robert joining in. Welcome, Robert. Glad to have you tuning in as well. Awesome. So again, during these video chats, normally what I do is I'll be taking some live Q&A. So if you have any questions that you would like to discuss related to fitness and nutrition, health and wellness, any specific challenges related to your workouts, building muscle, losing fat, anything along those lines, feel free to type those questions and topics of discussion into our chat window. But today, being the first live chat now of 2026, and with the idea of starting the new year off on the right track, I want to kind of gear this towards, I guess, goal setting, and not just goal setting. I mean, that's kind of but a plan of attack, an action plan, if you will, that we can utilize now in 2026 to help realize your fitness goals and to set your sights and set it up on the right track so that you can actually make some solid progress this year. And then hopefully next year, when we're doing the same thing again, you can reflect back and be proud of the accomplishments versus reflecting back saying, oh, I wish I did, I coulda, shoulda, looking back in regret. So that's what we want to focus on, is how can we set this up on the right track so that you're actually moving forward and making some solid strides towards achieving your personal health, fitness, and wellness goals in this, this coming year. All right. One thing that I wanted to quickly address now is a lot of times people go from neglecting their health and fitness. Like we've just had the holiday season. So obviously the lead up until Christmas, a lot of times people get busy and the workouts tend to fall off track. I noticed, like, in the weeks leading up until Christmas, every time I'd be going to the gym, it's like there's fewer and fewer people here, right? Like, sure, you see the hardcore regulars, they're going to be there no matter what. But outside of that hardcore regulars, the ones who you can bank on showing up day in, day out, no matter what, a lot of times you'd see people just weren't there. I mean, I do one-on-one personal training in the gym, and I was getting a lot of people saying, oh, I'm not going to be able to make our session today because, oh, we're going to go Christmas shopping, or we're going to go do this, or we're going to do that, or something's coming up, or, oh, I just can't make it today. A lot of people have those excuses and those scenarios leading up until the holidays. And then in the back of their mind saying, well, I'm going to make up for it in the new year, right? As soon as the new year starts, that's it. I'm getting back on the bandwagon. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to clean up my diet. I'm going to go on this perfect, clean, strict diet, whatever it happens to be, you know, keto, carnivore, intermittent fasting, cut the carbs. I'm going to do something. I'm going to just follow this super clean diet, work out every day, and I'm going to get myself in shape. And they have all these grand goals and expectations, and they're full of piss and vinegar, just like a kid who got into a case of Red Bull, and they're just all excited. And that excitement and that enthusiasm, well, okay, I can appreciate where it's coming from and appreciate that desire, is very often short-lived. Like usually within a few weeks, or by the time February rolls around, most of those goals are just gone like a fart in the wind. And statistically, this is the way it is. Like, I think, what is it? Like about half the goals people set in the new year don't even make it past February. And then of those that make it past then, I think statistically less than 10% actually last of the full year. I'm not sure what the number is. Somewhere like 92% of goals don't even make it for the full year. So when someone sets a resolution or something like that, hey, I'm going to do blah, 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 less than 10% of the people are actually going to do whatever it is they said they are going to do, right? Most people, more than 90%, are not going to follow through. And if you're probably among one of the 90% in some areas. I mean, maybe you've achieved goals in other areas, but statistically speaking, most people don't achieve their goals, right? And that applies a lot with fitness goals, because fitness is certainly well up there in that goal setting category. So this time around, we really want to focus on, like, how can we make this something that's sustainable? And one of the things I always like to look at is, when you're planning your goals for the year, you have to be realistic about what you can take on, like biting off more than you can chew. Because sometimes people say, I'm going to start a new workout program, I'm going to go on a new diet, and I'm going to also do goals in other areas. Hey, I'm going to start that new project, start that new hobby. I'm going to learn a new language, or I'm going to move to a new city. I'm going to get a new relationship. And, they start stacking up. I'm going to do this and this and this. And they have all these grand goals and aspirations and ideas. And they know damn well there's no way they're going to achieve them all. But they stack all the goals onto the plate. And it's just way too much. And sometimes it's better to actually take a minimalist approach and just say, like, what are a few key things that you are actually committed to and making some serious progress towards? Your health and fitness should be one of those. So, for example, like if you have a goal, maybe you really want to prioritize your fitness. Maybe you're overweight. You say, what? This year, I'd really like to lose 30 pounds. Like that. If I could be, by this time next year, by the time we're doing, rolling into 2027, if you were 30 pounds lighter, like, would that make a noticeable difference for you? Or whatever the number is. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less, but I'm just using that as an example. Let's say 30 pounds is the number. How would that make a difference in your life if you actually achieve that one goal, right? Not getting bogged down with everything else, but just that one particular goal. How would that impact you, right? I mean, that would probably make a significant difference for a lot of people, right? Okay, well, let's prioritize that one. And maybe there's a couple other key things that you can do, but like, you can't do everything. And if you are going to try and do more, you have to be willing to say no to some other things. Like, we just can't be saying yes to this, like yes to that. I'll add this onto my plate. I'll add that onto my plate. I'll keep doing more, taking on more challenges. Sometimes in order to say yes to one thing, you have to say no to something else. So for example, if we were to break down that goal of losing 30 pounds, okay, what are some things that you're going to have to do in order to achieve that? Well, probably you're going to have to exercise more, right? Probably going to the gym, probably being more active, making better food choices. So like, in order to say yes to the gym, maybe you're going to have to make some compromises in other areas. Maybe that is in the time you spend watching television. Maybe it's in the time you spend on social media. Maybe it's the time you spend doing other activities, sometimes things that may not be as conducive to your health and fitness goals. Maybe you have to make some trade-offs in there in order to accommodate more time. Or maybe it's just being more disciplined with your time. Because a lot of times we do have the time to do the things that we want to do. It's just sometimes we're not as prioritized, if you will, in how we allocate that time. So sometimes you have to learn, what are you going to say no to in order to what are you going to say yes to, in order to make those compromises, to make that new goal or that new resolution a reality for yourself. Right? That's a big one for sure. Another one that I want to address too is giving yourself permission to take imperfect action. Right? This is a big one. A lot of times, if you're starting off, we have these grand visions in our mind, like, okay, I'm going to join the gym and I'm going to work out every day and I'm going to do this. It sounds cool, but sometimes you have to give yourself permission to start off small, because if you don't, you're very often going to end up overdoing it, overkill, burn yourself out, and quite honestly, getting hurt. The New Year's is the time when a lot of people actually get injured, right? Because especially people who probably worked out in the past and got off track. Now they're full of piss and vinegar and motivation. They're going to go back to the gym again. And now they start off with a gusto, and then next thing you know, end up hurting themselves, pulling something, straining something, lifting more than they could. So purposely make those actions smaller, going through the motions with the workouts, right? Lifting lighter than you than you think you can, right? Because a lot of times, especially if you've worked out in the past and you have these numbers in the back of your mind saying, hey, I used to bench press 2 plates aside, and I used to have this much on the leg press, and I used to have this much I used to use for curls. And then you have those numbers in the back of your mind, and you think, well, I'm just going to go and try and duplicate those numbers again, even though you haven't worked out for a while. Next thing you know, oh, there it goes. I pulled something, strained something, I threw my back out, right? Oh, there goes the rotator cuff. There goes the hamstring, right? So there goes whatever. And that's a real issue. So like when it comes to starting back to the gym, especially after a layoff, purposely go through the motions with those workouts, right? Start off small. I mean, sometimes it's embarrassingly small, but that's where you need to start in order to build that consistency. And the consistency is more important than the intensity, especially when you're starting off on the journey, and ultimately long term as well. Like if you can't do it consistently, it doesn't matter how hard you can push yourself in the short term with intensity. It's the long term consistency is where the results compound. Right? So I've even been doing that myself, like with the workouts. Like when I go back to the gym after a break or a layoff, I purposely lift below my means, start off small, and then just gradually build it up, workout by workout, and increasing the intensity, increasing the volume slowly. And it actually takes willpower and discipline to hold back the reins sometimes, because we want to go hard. We think like, hey, I'm going to go big and I'm going to get in shape as fast as possible. But that's not how the process works in the real world, especially as you get older, right? I mean, the older you are, the more you have to respect your body, and sometimes learning to hold back on the reins a little bit and giving yourself permission to do those easy workouts and build them up slowly, even though it doesn't look sexy or feel powerful or whatever. Very often that is the key to being long-term in this game, not getting yourself hurt in the process, right? Another big one that I want to discuss as well before we get into the Q&A here. And then, of course, anything that I'm talking about here with regards to goal setting, if you have any questions or anything, or you want to share your own goals, like we can certainly discuss that here as well. But the concept of giving yourself permission to start again. And I'm going to use the example from, I learned about this concept from the book Atomic Habits. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. It's by James Clear. The book is called Atomic Habits. Probably the best habit related book ever written. I mean, it's one of the top sellers. I mean, it's been on the New York Times bestseller for a long time. I mean, there's been millions and millions of copies of this book sold. But there's a concept that James talked about in that book of never missing twice. And how that works is, let's just say someone sets a goal of, I want to work out every day, right? I mean, okay, that's an admirable goal. Okay, I can appreciate that. But the problem with that is there's going to be some days that are outside your control. Some days things are going to happen. You're going to get sick. There's going to be responsibilities. There's going to be stuff happen beyond your control that's going to interfere with you working out every single day. And if that is your goal, I have to work out every single day, or I'm a failure, I didn't hit my goal, that sets up a lot of unnecessary pressure. And it can also get people disheartened, because let's just say you had that goal and you went a couple weeks in a row or a few weeks in a row and you never missed a day. And then all of a sudden you missed a day. It's like, oh, I knew I couldn't keep up with this routine. Oh, it's too much. And then you start to get down on yourself. Like where we see this a lot, even more so than the working outside of things. I'll give you another analogy that really will drive this point home. Think of someone trying to quit smoking, right? I mean, here it is, New Year's. A lot of people are probably adding that one to their New Year's resolution list. Hey, I'm going to give up smoking this year, which is an admirable goal. And if you are a smoker, I would highly recommend that would be a priority that you probably focus on, because that would be a habit or a goal that if you achieve that, that would trickle into helping you in so many other areas of your life as well, health and wellness and everything else. But let's just say the way most people go about it is to try and quit cold turkey, right? Which, hey, I'm going to throw down the cigarettes, January, that's it, non-smoker. And maybe they go a week or two without smoking, right? But then in a moment of weakness, they probably, under stress, caving in, maybe they're at a social gathering or something, and in a moment of weakness, they give in and they have a cigarette. And then they start to beat themselves up. They say, you know what? Oh, I knew I couldn't quit smoking, right? I went 2 weeks, never had a cigarette. I was doing so good. And then I end up having a cigarette. Well, screw it. I knew I couldn't do this. And then they pick up smoking again. Whereas if they just reframed that and looked at that whole scenario from a different lens and said, you know what? You're normally smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day, and you just went 2 weeks and you only had one. Like, that's massive progress. Like, that is a huge win. That's not a negative. Don't beat yourself up for giving in and having a cigarette. Like, instead, hey, pat yourself on the back and say, wow, you went 2 weeks and only had one cigarette. That's awesome. Way to go. Keep going. If you took it from that point of view, it reframes the process. And instead of looking at that as a loss or a setback, look at it as a massive victory. And that is the way we need to reframe things, especially when it comes to quitting smoking. But you could also apply that to your workouts as well. Excuse me. Oh, tickle in my throat there. Excuse me. So, for example, if someone set a goal like, I want to work out every day, well, realize you're not going to be able to. Life's going to throw you curveballs. Things are going to happen. You're not going to be able to work out every day. But what if you set a goal that I'm going to consistently work out 3 days a week, right? At least 3 days a week. And you have that as a benchmark. And the way James Clear put it in his book is he said, you never want to miss twice. So like, let's just say you had your target of how many workouts you were going to do per week. Let's just say it was 3 a week. You do that and you have those as your benchmark. But if something derailed and caused you to miss a workout, it's okay to miss one, right? That's just life circumstances. That's an error. That's a blip on the radar. That's a mistake. But you don't want to miss twice. You don't want to miss twice in a row, because then that's starting a new habit. That's starting a new habit of missing workouts. Or in the case of, excuse me, or the case of someone trying to quit smoking, if they, in a moment of weakness, gave in and had a cigarette, well, you don't want to start smoking again and have another cigarette, because now you're starting the habit of becoming a smoker again. Instead, it's okay to, if you had one, forgive, correct, continue, start again, continue on the journey. Like, do not miss twice, right? It's okay if you screw up once, but don't screw up twice in a row. So you can apply that to your workouts. If you miss a workout, that's okay. Everybody does. But make sure to get back on track the very next day and get that workout done. Or if you screw up on your meals and you had a cheat meal that you didn't plan on and you screwed up, that's okay. You're only human. Start again for your next meal, or at least the very next day, and keep moving forward. And this is a powerful habit that can make a big difference, because it's not what you do all the time that matters. It's what are you doing most of the time. And we don't need to have this all or nothing perfection approach. We just need to be better than we were before. And as long as you're consistently tipping the scale in favor of making more good choices than bad, you can still make it work and achieve success with your fitness goals, your nutrition goals, or whatever goals you're working on. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be better than it was before. Right? So, I mean, it's a mindset shift, but it's a mindset shift that can change the game significantly. Excuse me, I'm going to have to get a cough drop. On Christmas Day, I came down with a chest cough, as you can probably hear, and it's still lingering since Christmas Day, right? I don't know if anybody else found that. When I was chatting with some of my coaching students recently, they said a lot of those guys actually came down with the cold and flu type symptoms over the holidays, which is a common thing, and I got it myself. All right. Excuse me. I lost track there. But I see we got a lot of people joining in here now. I just want to acknowledge some people here. We got Richards joining in. He says, sorry, I'm late. No, man, we're just getting started. You're right on time. What's up, Lee? The beach is to the right. Okay. I wouldn't mind being at the beach right now. We got Eric joining in. Glad to have you joining in, Eric and Richard. Who else has joined in here now? We have Robert is joining us as well. All right. Is an upper body workout similar to a full body workout? Thank you. Sorry, upper lower body workout similar. All right, we'll discuss that shortly. Just a second now. I want to see who else is joining in here. And we also have Costa Rica joining in. Welcome. Glad to have you joining in. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to just start jumping in and answering some Q&A here. But again, if you want to relate any of this to your fitness goals, and in fact, while you're listening and while you're watching right now, I'm just curious, what are some of your fitness goals that you would like to focus on achieving this year? Like, if you could achieve one goal, fitness related, what would that be? Right? I mean, it could be health and fitness related. So maybe it is a weight loss goal. Maybe it is an athletic performance goal. Like maybe you say, this year I want to run a half marathon, right? You have that as a goal for yourself. Or maybe for some of you, it's like, hey, this year I would like to compete in my first bodybuilding competition. All right? I know some people want to do that as a goal. Or maybe it's to do a sporting event or something like that, or who knows what it is. But I'm just curious, like what kind of goal is it? Is it a physique related goal, meaning that you want to lose weight, build muscle, improve your body composition? What would be the number one goal that you'd like to achieve? Excuse me. Go ahead and post that into the chat. And while you're posting that into the chat, I'm just going to be a moment. I'm just going to run to the other room. I'm going to get a cough drop to soothe my throat there. I'm back again here now. Try and soothe my throat, or else I'll be coughing all during the stupid show. Carlos saying he had bronchitis. Ouch. I hope that's not what I got, but whatever it is, it's lingering on the chest there. It's causing me to cough and hack too much. All right, so let's jump in. Who's got the Q&A for today? All right, here's one. Costa Rica 100. What part of the tricep pushdowns, overhead extensions, and close grip bench press emphasize independently? Okay, what part of the triceps do pushdowns, overhead extensions, and close grip bench emphasize independently? Gotcha. They all work the triceps. And I'm going to break this down because whenever you do any exercise, you're contracting the entire muscle. So, for example, if you're doing a push down, you're working all the major muscles of the tricep. When you're doing overhead extensions, you're still working all the triceps. Shit, sorry, guys. When you're doing close grip bench, that's more of a compound exercise. It's hitting triceps, chest, and shoulders. But you're hitting it all. Like you're hitting the entire muscle. But what you will find is certain exercises may emphasize more of either a stretch, more of a peak contraction, or more of a mid-range compound type of exercise. So, for example, the close grip bench, that would be more of a mid-range compound power exercise for the triceps. The overhead tricep extension, that when you do that overhead, you're really stretching out the long head of the tricep, and you'll feel as you extend that dumbbell behind your head, you're going to get a good stretch in the muscle. And then when you do a push down, you're locking out in the bottom. And this is where you're going to get a good peak contraction. So it's, if you're familiar with the concept of positions of flexion, which is mid-range, fully stretched, peak contraction. Excuse me again, guys. I might have. If you're familiar with that, then the what you just explained there, those 3 exercises would fit in perfectly with the positions of flexion style of training. But again, as far as what areas of the muscles are being worked, the entire muscle is worked regardless in all those different exercises. It's just you'll feel the emphasis in different ranges of motion depending on the exercise, whether it's stretch, fully contracted, or mid-range. Robert, is an upper lower body workout similar to a full body workout? Similar, yeah. I mean, you're still hitting your total body, whether you're breaking it up over 2 days or trying to do it all in one day. With workouts, one is not necessarily better than the other. I mean, if you have the time to break up your workouts over multiple days, that's fine. You can certainly do that. If you're looking for a time crunch variation, that's where the total body workout helps. So it's not necessarily right, wrong, good, or bad. It's just a different way of going about it. But yeah, I mean, you're still going to hit all the major muscle groups regardless. It's just, if you're doing an upper lower split, you're going to focus more on upper body on one day. Obviously, it's going to be an upper body day. Next day, you focus all on lower body. And then you'll be able to get more volume and more or more focus on each of those different workouts than if you tried to cram it all into a single session. Again, it's not necessarily right or wrong, because there's pros and cons to both. It's just different ways of going about it based on, the big one is your schedule and your personal preferences, right? Generally, if someone's brand new and has never worked out before, I recommend just a simple total body workout, maybe just doing one exercise for each major muscle group. And then as they get more advanced and we start adding in more exercises and then expanding upon that workout, then we'll probably split it up into like an upper lower, or maybe a push pull legs, or eventually probably even getting into different types of body part splits as they get more advanced. But for someone just starting off, to keep it simple, a total body workout done 3 days a week would be adequate to get started with. Right. Let's see what we got here. What was the typical workout routine you did with heavy grips to gain an inch of forearm size? Are they enough for maximum forearm hypertrophy? I actually have the full program that I followed in PDF format. And if you want, I can send it over to you. It goes over the whole detail. And I have two different PDFs that I can actually send you. One, it's an actual hand gripper training program, because I used to sell heavy grips hand grippers on my website. But if you're interested in heavy grips hand grippers, you can actually go to heavygrips.com and order them directly from the manufacturer themselves. And honestly, there's a lot of places now, like on Amazon and stuff like that, that also sell heavy grippers. And that, honestly, that was part of the reason why I got out of the business, because there were so many knockoff variations online, like Amazon and different sites, that we couldn't compete on price anymore. And it just wasn't worthwhile for me to be selling the heavy grips, because we were selling the official heavy grips hand grippers, and then all these knockoff brands started flooding the internet, and of course we couldn't compete with them on price. So we ended up stopping selling them. But for years I sold heavy grips hand grippers, and when I was doing it, I also had two PDF programs I used to sell with it. One was the hand gripper training manual, and another one was a forearm training guide. And if you want a copy of that, I'd be happy to send it to you. Just all you have to do is drop me an email, or if you're watching over on Facebook, you can drop me a private message on Facebook and in Messenger, and just say forearm PDF. If you send me an email with the subject line forearm PDF, I'll know exactly what you mean, and I'll send that over to you. And my email address is down in the description below this video, so you can pop that open and send it over. And I'll be more than happy to send you that. It's 2 PDF downloads that you can use to help with your grip and forearm workouts. But again, to answer your question though, are they enough for maximum forearm hypertrophy? Grippers alone, it will help, but there's other aspects, right? Because just like with any muscle group, there's multiple aspects of how to train it. The grip is one that's very neglected and very powerful, but you also need to be able to different styles of wrist rotation, wrist curls, wrist extensions, different types of grip. I mean, you have the finger grip, you have the thumb grip, and the pinch grip, right? So there's a lot of different elements of grip training. And in those PDF downloads, you'll get a good overview of how you can maximize your forearm development. But grippers alone will not truly maximize it, if you know what I mean. It'll certainly help, but you need more than just grippers alone if you want to maximize it. All right, who else we got there? AJ's joining in, saying, I got a question. Currently trying to get back into fitness to play soccer with my community. I lift weights, but notice my cardio is poor. How would you recommend for cardio training so I can run for a prolonged period of time to play sports like soccer? I've been dabbling with the treadmill, but what advice would you provide? All right, great question. And the first thing we need to look at, this is the way I would approach cardio training. And it's not sexy, but it would work. You need to build a base level of cardiovascular fitness. So simply trying to run at this stage of the game, it's kind of pointless. I wouldn't even recommend running at this stage of the game, or at least not running intensely. I would actually start with building up your foundation with walking, right? Start with like walk for 5 kilometers a day, nonstop, right? Start that. I mean, for most people the average person, a 5K walk is going to take you about an hour. The average person is going to probably be able to walk 5K an hour. And that's at a reasonable pace. You know, I mean, it's not scuffing your heels like a stroll on the beach pace, but it's not no speed walker pace either. It's just a normal walking pace. So shoot for that. Do like about 5K a day and walk for an hour nonstop. And this goes beyond the, people who are saying, oh, I do my 10,000 steps a day and yada, yada, yada. The problem with the counting your steps and just getting total step count is it's stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. So you're never getting your heart rate elevated and then keeping it elevated for a prolonged period of time. You're always just stop, go. Like I walk across the hall and then I stop. Walk up a flight of stairs and then I stop. Or walk to across the grocery store and then I stop. Stop, go, stop, go. Sure, I mean, it does add up. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it doesn't count at all, but for improving your stamina, your cardiovascular fitness, and your VO2 max, you need to have some prolonged cardiovascular activity in there. And we want to start by laying a foundation. So I recommend for the first couple weeks, set a goal to walk 5K a day, right? That should be very reasonable, very well within your fitness capabilities, right? And it's not a huge time commitment, right? But do that, set a goal to do that. And then what you can start to do, once you get comfortable with walking that 5K a day, maybe you could start to incorporate some walk jogs within that. So for example, you're out for your walk and you say, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good. I got a bit more energy in my step. I'm going to run. I'm going to run to the next telephone pole, right? Like you're just walking down the road and then you feel, you know what? Hey, pole there a couple 100 feet away. I'm going to do a jog to the next telephone pole. And then I'm just going to walk. And then eventually you might say, I'm going to run to the next pole. And you gradually start to incorporate walk, jog. At the start, the jogs are going to be few and far between, and it's going to be mostly walking with a little jog sprinkled in every now and then. And then as you start to build up your fitness and your work capacity, you can start to incorporate more of that ratio to more time walking, or sorry, more time jogging, less time walking. And you could even have it set up where, like, I'm going to walk for a minute, I'm going to jog for a minute, walk for a minute, jog for a minute. But you gradually build that up over time until the point where you can do a 5K jog, right? Like that would be a good goal to shoot for. And as far as time frame, try to get up to, say, like a 5K jog within 30 minutes. That would be a respectable starting point, right, for your cardiovascular fitness. Once you have that as something that you can do consistently, then you could probably start to incorporate some more sport specific type of cardio. Like if you want to start running some sprints and doing different intervals. I mean, of course, I encourage you, if you want to play soccer with your friends, I mean, you can certainly try doing that as well, but realize that you're probably going to get gassed. But once you build up to the point where you can do a 5K run or 5K jog, whatever you want to call it, that's going to make a noticeable difference. And that's going to lay a foundation that you can then build off. But I would not recommend like starting to do sprints and high intensity intervals and things like that until you lay that foundation. So build up 2 weeks of 5K walks. Gradually after that, start to incorporate the walk jogs, building up the more jogging and less walking, and then eventually work up to a 5K jog. Once you're at that and you're doing that consistently, then you can get into the more advanced high intensity intervals. But that would be the stepping stones to get there. And that would make a huge difference. You would notice a significant improvement in your cardiovascular fitness if you built up to that. I'm just curious, like, who here, like, do we have any runners among us watching the video chat now? And if you do, how did you get involved with this, especially if you're an older runner? Like, it's different when kids are starting to run, because, I mean, kids don't walk, they run. But someone who's getting into running in a later in life, if you will, right? That's a different game than versus someone who's been, hey, I've been running ever since I was a kid in school, right? And that's a different scenario for sure. But if you are a runner and you started later in life, I'd be just curious to see if you have any strategies that you'd like to share there in the video chat. If you do, feel free to chime in. All right. So again, AJ saying the goal there is to improve cardio massively. I focus way too much on lifting weights, but I can barely run. Well, you don't start with running, start with walking. I know it doesn't sound sexy, right? Like, it's, again, most people underrate it, say, oh, walking. Pff. I mean, what's the good of that? But I'm telling you, like, if you haven't been prioritizing cardio at all, an hour-long walk nonstop at just a brisk walking pace, that's going to be challenging. Like, you're going to work up a sweat, you're going to have your heart rate elevated, and you're going to do that hour walk and say, whoa, like, that was actually harder than I thought it was. Right. And the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. And you're also going to find it's just going to start to build up that base, that cardiovascular base. Right. That's what we need to have at this stage of the game, is a good solid base. Because if you just start doing runs and intervals and stuff like that with no foundation underneath, it's like trying to build a house without laying a foundation. You know, like build a brick house on a foundation of mush. Like, no, you need a solid concrete foundation in order to build something on. So that's what we're doing by doing this, laying the foundation with building a cardiovascular base. We're laying a solid foundation that you can build on, versus just trying to start stacking high intensity sprints and intervals on top of no foundation whatsoever. It's not going to work. Let's see what else we got there. We've got Miss Projects saying wants to improve cardio and body composition. I can certainly appreciate that. Robert Robo saying I'll be consistent in my workout routine for 2 years now, the longest period of time for me ever. Thanks for your content. Awesome, congratulations. That's a huge win. I mean, consistent for 2 years. Like, a lot of people can't say that, right? Like that they've been consistently working out for 2 years. And most people like, oh, I've been working out on and off, on and off. And then, you know, like if someone's been working out on and off for however long, that's not the same as working out consistently. Like someone says, I've been working out on and off for 10 years, or someone I've been working out consistently for 10 years. That's two totally different scenarios. The on and off person probably has like a year's worth of training on and off over the course of 10 years. But someone who's consistently trained for 10 years, well, they'll have 10 years of progressive training that compounds and accumulates. And that's where you really start to see the changes. But again, that's a respectable accomplishment. Thank you for sharing that. We have the Buff Canuck saying, my goal would be to add more size, to go from 155 to 170 to 175. That's a realistic goal. 175, I mean, I'll be honest, especially for someone who's been around the fitness game for a while, that's not saying it's unrealistic, but I mean, that would be pushing it. But to add, say, like 15 pounds, right? That would be within a year. That would be realistic. And there's a difference between adding 15 pounds of lean mass versus just 15 pounds of burger and blubber mass, right? If we're looking at quality mass, that's going to take a lot longer. And when it comes to gaining weight and even losing weight to that degree, but for different reasons, I always recommend slow, steady versus just simply trying to pile on weight as fast as possible. So like a good realistic goal, even though it sounds painfully slow, gain at least a pound of lean mass per month, right? And I know that doesn't sound like much, but if you did that at the end of the year, if you gained 1 pound per month, well, that's 12 pounds over the course of the year. I mean, that could be significant, right? Now, you may gain a little bit more, but if you had that as your benchmark or your minimum, say, as long as I'm gaining at least a pound of lean mass per month, I know I'm on the right track, you would hit that goal, right, of doing so over the course of the year. And a good portion of that would be actual lean mass, right? Especially if it's done properly. But yeah, that's a good goal. Appreciate you for sharing that. Mezzo Project saying, those heavy grips are awesome. Bought them many years ago, related to one of your programs. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I still, where are they? Still got them. I mean, I have them, and these are grips that I bought. If I'm not mistaken, I bought this back in 2004, I believe it was, and it's still like brand new. I mean, this thing is over 20 years old, and they're still like brand new. As long as you look after them and keep them clean and dry and not out, don't let them get rusty. I mean, they will last forever, but they're awesome, right? They are awesome grip tools, right? So, I mean, I keep them here in my office, and it's still a regular part of my training. Now, I'm not as strict with them as I used to be, but it's still something that I incorporate. All right, let's see what else we got there. Got a question. Hello, just wanted to say I appreciate all your solid advice. And Mark King says hello. All right, well, glad to have you joining in, and say hello back to Mark. Much appreciated. I want to walk again 3 miles and work out a couple hours. Motivation is the challenge. All right. That's a admirable goal for sure. One thing I know you didn't really specify the details here, but I wouldn't combine that into a single session. I wouldn't walk 3 miles and then try to work out for 2 hours and have that as a single session. Like that would be something you could do maybe on every other day. Like, hey, I'm going to walk one day, work out the next, walk one day, work out the next. Like that would be a great way to combine walking and weight training. I mean, that's what I do personally. Like I alternate my weight training workouts and my cardio workouts day for day. So One day it's weight training, next day is cardio, weight training, cardio, weight training, cardio. And I do them on alternate days. If you are going to do them together or on the same day, I would recommend ideally spacing them out, maybe to like go for a walk in the morning and do weight training in the afternoon, or vice versa. And if you really have to combine them together, weight training first and then do the cardio afterwards. Now, that would be, you could get away with it, but the best scenario would be to separate them into different workouts. That way you would just keep your energy high, you wouldn't be burning yourself out, and it'd be more easy to stay consistent. And you find that it's actually very complementary, because the weight training is going to place stress and demands on the body, and then the walking is going to be like gentle, active recovery exercise. So it actually helps to aid with the recovery from the weight training when you alternate them day for day. And that'll be a way to stay more consistent over the long term. And it's probably going to be less drain on the motivation as well, because it's a lot less volume that you have to commit to, a lot less challenge, right? Like, oh, I only have to go for a walk, or I only have to go and do this workout. I don't have to do it all in a single session. All right. And another thing, if motivation is a challenge with that, start off small. Like, hey, instead of saying I'm going to walk 3 miles, how about I'm going to go walk for 10 minutes, right? Like, it's a lot easier to do a 10-minute walk. And then once you're consistently walking for 10 minutes, say, I'm going to walk for 15 minutes. Maybe I'm going to walk for 20 minutes, and just build it up increment by increment, step by step. Same with the workouts. Like, instead of saying, oh, I got to go and I got to work out for an hour, how about we start working out for 10 minutes? Like, literally just baby steps, baby steps. Give yourself permission to take that imperfect, small baby step action, and then let that compound and build up over time. That's something else I wanted to discuss about goal setting, is a lot of times people don't give themselves permission to take those small baby steps of progress. And it's those small baby steps of progress, the ones that are almost embarrassingly simple to do, are the ones that actually lead to real results. Like, for example, let's just say somebody wanted to write a book, right? I'm just going to use that as an example, right? And they say, oh, I got to write so many thousands of words and so many pages and this and that. And, they make it this big grand task in their mind. Like, maybe you just set a goal. I'm just going to sit down to my computer and I'm going to write a sentence. And like, sitting down to your computer and writing a single sentence doesn't sound like much, but that actually puts the ball in motion, versus if you say like, oh, I've got to write 10 pages today, or you give yourself some big giant task. It's so easy to start procrastinating and making that big task so big in your mind that you don't even want to start. Whereas if you said, all I got to do is I got to turn on the computer and write one sentence, right? That's it. Like, if I turn on the computer and I write one sentence, at least I did something. I made some progress. I took a step in the right direction. And like they say, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Like, that single step seems so insignificant, and it seems so like blah, but if you just take that step and then take the next one and the next one, and eventually you can start to make some big progress. But like, don't get bogged down in, the 1,000-mile journey or the big tasks. Break them down into small bite-sized chunks. So like, a lot of times people say, well, I don't have the motivation to go to the gym. And I say, okay, well, how about we just start small? How about we put on our sneakers and we'll go for a 10-minute walk, like small baby steps. Heck, if that's too much, let's put on our sneakers and just walk to the end of the driveway and back. Like, do something. Like, just give yourself permission to take those small action steps, right? Even if it's just, I'm going to put on my sneakers and just walk outside the front door. Like, you have to be willing to take those small steps and get comfortable with the small step. And then you take the next step and the next step. I know in that book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, like, he mentioned someone who he wanted to set a goal to join the gym, or he wanted to join the gym and start working out. But again, he was so intimidated by it And his first initial goal was just show up to the gym. And I think it was like literally every day he had to show up to the gym, walk through the door, but he was only allowed to stay for 5 minutes and then he left again. But he made a habit of every day, or however many days a week, so many days a week, he would show up, walk into the gym, stay for 5 minutes and leave. Show up to the gym, stay for 5 minutes and leave. And he just literally made a habit of showing up to the gym, getting your ass into the door. After he did that for the first month, then he said, okay, well, I'm coming here on a regular basis. I might as well do something while I'm here. So then he gradually started expanding and doing some actual exercise while he was there, like doing some structured workout, if you will. But the initial goal was just to show up. Didn't matter if you did anything when you got there, just as long as you showed up. That was the goal. And that, I mean, it sounds, from a practical point of view, people say, well, you're wasting your time. Like, why are you even doing that? Like, you're just showing up to the gym, but you're not actually working out. But he was overcoming the biggest hurdle, which is just getting your ass to the gym. Because I've said this numerous times, and it still remains true. The hardest exercise you'll ever do at the gym is pushing open the front door and walking through. Like, once you're there, the rest is like coasting downhill. Like, that's easy. But getting yourself there, like, get your ass off the sofa, get your ass out your own front door and into the car and drive to the gym, and then get your ass into the gym. Like, just physically putting yourself in the environment is the hardest part. The actual workout itself is not as hard as the act of getting there. So we need to kind of come up with ways to reduce the friction of getting started, or to break it down into small bite-sized chunks. I mean, one that I find is a very powerful habit that a lot of people do: pack your gym bag the night before. Like if you're struggling to go to the gym, set a goal for yourself to pack your gym bag the night before, and then have it right by your front door. So like when you leave in the morning, you can just grab, here's my gym bag, ready to go. I can go out the door with it. I mean, I do the same thing. Like right here in my office, I keep my gym bag packed and ready to go. Right? Where is this? Right here. I'm going to get it. Ta-da! My old gym bag, right? I keep it packed, ready to go. It's got everything I need in there. And so, like, when it's time for me to go to the gym, that's one less thing I need to worry about. So I don't need to, like, oh, I need to have my this and my that, and my sneakers and my gear. Like, no, it's packed. It's ready to go. Just grab that bag and I can be out the door. It's got everything I need. So, like, if you're struggling with motivation, break it down into some small bite-sized chunks. And that could be one powerful chunk that could start. It's like knocking over the first domino. Like, once you knock over the first domino, it's going to knock over the next one and the next one. And then it's going to spiral and create that action that you want to happen. But you need to put it in place first. So having that gym bag packed in advance the night before, and then keeping it close at hand so you can just grab it and go, makes it so much easier. Right? That could be the thing that one little habit right there could be the thing that makes the difference between being consistent and saying like, oh, I don't have time to go to the gym, or I don't feel like going to the gym, or I'm not motivated to go to the gym. Like, it's breaking it down into those small bite-sized chunks can make all the difference. All right, guys. Where are we? I lost my spot in the chat there. Happy New Year, Lee, from across the ponds. More life and gains to you, sir. Glad to have you joining in. Thanks. Happy New Year as well. Doing well, though. Great advice. Thank you. You're welcome. Glad to be able to help. Excuse me. Is there any other questions or coming through there? I know there was a bit of chit-chat in the comments section there. There was one that came through that I want to address. This was actually someone sent this in advance. I just crossed my mind there. One of our regulars, Rocco, he usually sends me an email in advance, and I forgot to answer it at the start of the chat, but I'm going to answer it now. It says, Happy New Year, Lee. It says, my question to you, if you're doing your video chat today, If you were training someone over 40 who wants to gain muscle, get toned, and get lean, what routine would you give them? Would love to see a new year Lee Hayward workout that you actually do at the gym for 2026. Thanks, Rocco. All right. If I was training someone over 40 who wants to gain muscle and get lean, what routine would I give them? All right. As far as the specifics, there's a lot of variables there. All right. So just because someone is over 40 and wants to gain muscle and get lean doesn't mean that they're all going to follow the same workout program, because someone's individual fitness routine, someone or individual fitness level, I should say, someone's schedule, injuries or mobility issues, their body structure and composition. Like there's a lot of variables that can come into play. Just because someone is 40 years old, you could have all sizes and shapes and fitness levels at 40 years old. Some people may have never worked out a day in their life and be overweight and out of shape at 40. Someone else could be basically an elite athlete at 40 and everything in between, right? So to say like, okay, here's the over 40 workout, it depends. And I know a lot of people don't like that answer, right? Well, but it's true. You have to tailor it to the individual and what they can physically do. Because if I were to give someone who's, say, out of shape a program that's too demanding, they're going to end up getting hurt or burnt out, or they're just going to quit in frustration because they can't do it. And vice versa. If I gave someone who's very advanced a program that's too easy, they're going to say, this sucks. This is too easy. I'm not going to do it. So you have to tailor it to your individual needs. And that's something that obviously you need to discuss with a coach to find out. I mean, when I'm working with my coaching students, like this is a big part of our conversation, you know, especially when we're working together initially, finding out what they can and can't do. Like when I take someone into the gym for the first time and like say we're doing our initial workout, I usually have a series of like mobility exercises and things that we do just to see, can they do them? Like, how's your shoulder mobility? How's your knee mobility, your ankle mobility, your hip mobility? How's your flexibility? Right? Can you even bend over and touch your own toes? Like, can you do a body weight squat? Can you do a push-up? You know, can you, like, what can you physically do? And it's amazing when you're looking at a lot of out of shape 40-year-olds, like most of them can't do a push-up, right? Very few of them can actually do a full squat. You know, like most of them can't even touch their toes. You know, like there's all these common things that are so simple, but a lot of people can't do. Now, with that being said, some people can come in there and smoke it. Like they're banging out perfect form push-ups, you know, right from the get-go, or they're doing squats and pull-ups and got good flexibility. So it all depends. But when I'm helping design a program for someone, I'll factor all that into play and then tailor the program to someone based on their individual needs and where they're at now. And the goal is just to start where you're at and focus on being better than you were before. Like that's it. But generally speaking, if someone's just to start off, I usually like to start with machine exercises for most people. So when I'm working with someone brand new in the gym, more often than not, unless they're very advanced, which is rare, we start with machine exercises. And the reason why I like machines is because it's relatively safe and it's relatively easy to learn, because the machine provides the resistance against a guided track. Like all you have to do is push or pull against the resistance. For example, like a chest press machine, you're pressing against a machine that's on a guided track. You can adjust how heavy or how light it is, and there's no risk of getting pinned under a heavy barbell. There's no risk of dropping weights on yourself or anything like that. It's very safe and controlled, right? So we can focus on training in a progressive overload fashion relatively safely. So I'll utilize that for the start. And then as people get more advanced and more comfortable with the machine exercises, then gradually we'll start to implement free weight variations and then even body weight variations. Like once that chest press becomes easier and they can do a respectable amount of weight, I say, okay, let's see if we can take the strength you built through the chest press and actually do some push-ups, right? And build up to doing exercises like that and just progress from there. But again, how I start off someone with your initial workout, it is a very individual thing, right? So it's kind of hard to give someone a cookie cutter template without actually working with them. But that's kind of where my thought process goes when I'm designing a new program for someone, is to start with where they're at right now in their current situation, their current fitness level, their current mobility issues, and say, okay, what can we do to make you better than you were before? And then just let that compound over time. Oh, excuse me again, guys. All right. What other questions we got coming through here? I'm going to get ready and clue it up shortly, but any lower lat exercises that worked well for you, Lee? I've got decent upper lats from weighted pull-ups, but I don't have that lower lat for the complete armor look. A lot of this has to do with just the genetic insertions of the lats. Like some people's lats are attached lower and they have, that lower lat look. But if you want to really try and emphasize that more, underhand grip rowing and pulling exercises can make a noticeable difference. And who really made that popular was former Mr. Olympia Dorian Yates. He kind of popularized the underhand grip row, the underhand grip pull down, the underhand grip pull over. Like he did a lot of his back work with an underhand grip. So instead of having palms facing forward, palms face towards you, curl grip. Just the same as if you're curling a barbell for bicep curls, that same curl style grip. So he would often do his barbell rows with an underhand grip, lat pull downs with an underhand grip. Even the pullover machine, like the Nautilus pullover machine, very often he did that with an underhand grip. So you're getting that. And when you do with an underhand grip, you'll just notice it. I'll just hide your question there for a second. If I have my hand overhand like this versus if I twist it underhand, like look how that rotates my arm. So all of a sudden, like instead of rowing from this plane of motion, now I'm rowing to the lower plane of motion. So I'm actually hitting more of that lower lat. And it's just from twisting your palm up into the curl position. That rotates the elbow around, rotates the shoulder. So now instead of working more upper lat, upper back, we're working more lower lat, lower back. Right. So that is the single best thing that you can do if you want to start to activate the lower lats. Start incorporating more reverse grip, underhand grip work. Underhand grip rows, pull downs. Those are some great ones to start with. If you find the underhand grip hard on the wrists, because this is a common scenario, is when you do like underhand grip row or underhand grip pull down, sometimes it places a lot of stress on the wrist joint because you have to twist your hand right around. And some people find that uncomfortable. A good bridge is to use the easy curl bar, the same bar that you use for bicep curls, the easy curl bar. You could use that for rows. You could even attach the easy curl bar pulley attachment to like the overhead pulley and do lat pull downs with an easy curl bar. So instead of having the strict curl grip all the way around, you have your hands on a slight angle now. And that makes it a little more comfortable on the wrists and the elbows, but it still allows you to get that underhand position to activate the lower lats. So that's a variation that I use a lot in my workouts. Underhand grip rows with the easy curl bar, underhand grip lat pull downs with the easy curl bar, because I find it's easier on the wrist joint, but it still allows you to activate that lower lat. So that's something you can try. I mean, you can try them both ways. If you can do the straight bar comfortably, then hey, by all means, use the straight bar. But if you find that the straight bar is uncomfortable on the wrists and on the joints, try the easy curl bar variation, and it might allow you to still hit those muscles to develop the lower lats without causing aggravation or pain or discomfort. But yeah, that's what I would recommend there. Excuse me. Got another question. Thanks for the support there, Mr. Buff Canuck. Much appreciated. He says, what would you have for lunch to get enough protein and calories in? Lunchtime is difficult for me, sometimes because I have to pack a lunch and it's often a PB and jelly. I think that's what you mean, PP and J. I think he means PB and jelly and a protein bar. All right. I got a good story to share with this one, and it's kind of related to peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. When I was in college, I used to pack my lunches, and this was right in the heyday when I was in bodybuilding. So I went through college, and one of the things that I did when I was trying to bulk up and get bigger is I would, at the start of the day, I would pack 4 peanut butter and jam sandwiches, and I would have 4 grilled chicken breasts. So every morning, what I did is I'd turn on the George Foreman grill. This was back in the day when George Foreman had his grill. We had one in our kitchen, so I'd put 4 chicken breasts on the Foreman grill and have those cooking. And I would make 4 peanut butter and jam sandwiches, and I would put those together in Ziploc bags. And when I went to school, I remember in college, I had 5 classes of college, and in between each class, I had a 10-minute break. So 5 classes in between each one, right? Had a break. So there was 4 breaks, right, throughout the day. And during each of those 10-minute breaks, I would eat a peanut butter and jam sandwich and a chicken breast. And I did that religiously through my college days. And that helped me to pack on some mass and grow like you wouldn't believe. I made some of my best gains during that time. So I'd start off my day at home, like having maybe like high protein oatmeal or something like that, or oatmeal and egg whites, that type of breakfast. My lunch was always peanut butter and jam sandwiches and chicken. And then when I came home from school, that's when I would do my workout. And then, of course, the evening meal, dinner was usually the family meal, but I'd always make sure to have generous helpings of protein and carbs and veggies and stuff like that. But that was kind of like a typical day for me. You know, my lunch, PB and jam sandwiches and chicken breasts. And I ate it cold. Like there was no reheating anything in the microwave or whatever. I just ate the chicken breasts and the sandwiches cold like they were in Ziploc bags. And I did that for for months at a time. Like that was my staple until it was time to cut for competition. And then I'd switch, and I'd still have the chicken, but then I'd be switching out to lower calorie options besides the peanut butter and jam. The peanut butter and jam was off season, put it that way. But if you're looking to gain weight, I mean, it worked, right? It's a lot of calories. It was a lot of protein, but it worked. And that was how I got through my college days and helped me to pack on mass, right? It doesn't have to be complicated, right? It just has to be consistent, right? That's the key. You know, the rules change for people who are trying to gain weight versus people who are trying to lose weight, you know, because I know like a lot of people listening to this are probably in the I want to lose weight camp. And obviously, I wouldn't recommend eating 4 peanut butter and jam sandwiches a day if your goal is trying to lose weight. But if your goal is trying to gain weight, that's a different scenario. It's a different set of rules we're playing by. But that's what I'd recommend. Give it a go. Certainly worked for me. Excuse me, guys. I got a nasty old hack again. We got Art join in. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Eagle Eye John saying, Happy New Year. I didn't drink alcohol. I can't anymore. Well, you know what? That's a blessing in disguise. Right. I'm going to touch on that one too. Like here it is, the new year. I know a lot of people setting goals and stuff. And I mentioned at the start, like when you're setting your goals, you want to look at like, what are some things that you could do that are going to have the biggest impact, if you will. One that I would just want to touch on, the topic of alcohol consumption, because this is a common theme, especially amongst our our Muscle After 40 coaching students, when I'm chatting to guys who've made the best progress over the years, there's one common theme that I see amongst almost all of the success stories. Now, there are a few exceptions, but virtually all the guys who've made the best transformations, the best before and after success transformation, one of the key habits that all these guys have in common is they either totally eliminated alcohol consumption or they drastically reduced it. And when I say drastically reduced it to the point where they're having like drinking less than once a month, like maybe, oh, I had a couple of drinks on my birthday, or I had a couple of drinks on New Year's, or some special occasion like that. They once a blue moon, they'll have a couple of drinks, but none of this, having drinks every day after work, or having a glass of wine with dinner every night, and having beer with the buddies every weekend, and that kind of stuff, like the consistent compounding drinking. And even if you don't consider it to be a problem, like I know like most people don't consider themselves to have a problem with alcohol, even though they drink on a regular basis. Right? My father, if you're watching this, he's as guilty as anybody, because I always talk to him about it. But you think, oh no, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. I just always have a glass of wine with dinner every night, or I just have have my drink of whiskey, and I have this and I have that. It's not a problem. It's not a problem, but I do it every goddamn day. Right? You're a functioning alcoholic. Right? I love you and everything else if dad's watching this, but it's the truth. Right? And one of the things I've seen when with my coaching students who've made the best progress, the ones who've said, you know what, that's it, I'm not drinking anymore, they have made such dramatic transformations, not only physically, but in their mental health. They're like, it's a crazy the transformation that they've made. And it has that compounding effect. Like once that is out of the equation, so many other things start to improve as well. Like quality of sleep starts to improve. Your recovery starts to improve. Your energy starts to improve. A lot of the digestion issues that people have start to improve. Their energy starts to improve. So like a lot of times people say, well, I'm not motivated to work out. That lack of motivation could be found in the bottom of the glass that you're drinking. Right? That glass of wine that you're having with dinner every night, that could be the root cause for your lack of motivation to work out in the morning, or the reason why you're complaining about, like, oh, I'm not getting good sleep and I wish I could sleep better and this and that. It could be because of the alcohol that you're drinking. I know people say alcohol helps them sleep. It helps to sedate you, but it doesn't give you that deep, restful quality sleep, right? And I can speak to this. Like I've stopped drinking alcohol. I have actually been alcohol free since 2011, so quite a while now. And I mean, it's been so long that I don't even realize how negative it was, right? For me, because I mean, again, we're talking like going on now 15 years, right, without any alcohol. I mean, that's quite a long time. But even the people that I've coached, that's one thing that's, when we're having conversations, hands down, is made the biggest difference. So if you're looking for a solid goal that's going to have an impact, that's one that you might want to consider, right? Even break it down, say like, you know what, I'm going to go the next 3 months without a drink, right? Just try it. Like, say, don't have to give it up forever or have this, I'm never ever going to do it mentality. Like if you have to, like, put a finish line on it and say, you know what, for the next 3 months, I'm going to just see how it feels to be not like a non-drinker, and see how that feels. See how it impacts your sleep. See how it impacts your energy. See how it impacts your mental clarity and your focus and your workouts and your recovery. Because I'm telling you, it's not a coincidence when I look at people who've made the best progress, and that's one thing that all these guys have in common, right? They've either, most of them eliminated it entirely, but there's a few who still have the occasional social drink from time to time, but it's drastically reduced it, right? So something to just put in your pipe and consider, if you will, right? Put that in the pipeline and consider it. If you are looking for a goal that you want to work on this year that could have a meaningful impact in many areas of life, consider going a 3-month experiment with no alcohol and just see how you feel. I mean, if it doesn't make any difference and whatever, you can always go back to being a drinker again. Like, you can always pick it up again. But I'm willing to bet a lot of people, if they go 3 months without it, they're going to say, you know what? I actually feel better without it. I'm going to keep going. Right? Even though, you have the choice, you can do whatever the hell you want. But I'm willing to bet if people tried it and got to truly experience how good it feels to be sober and alcohol free and not having that toxin in your body on a regular basis, it would make a massive difference. All right. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to get ready and clue this up. And one thing that I want to share as well before we do go is this new year, as I did last New Year, I'm going to be running another Lose Your Gut Challenge group. And I'm going to be sharing that primarily through our Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group. So if you haven't already done so, join me over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group. I have a link to it down in the description below this video. You can just search Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding on Facebook and find it. But we are going to be doing another Lose Your Gut Challenge group this year. And if you would like some help with a solid nutrition and action plan to get yourself in shape, to lose your gut, and to build some solid momentum in 2026 to help you reach your fitness and fat loss goals, then you might want to consider joining us for the Lose Your Gut Challenge. And I'll be sharing more details about that through the Facebook group as it gets closer. All right, I'm going to get ready to clue it up, guys. Thanks again for joining. I always enjoy doing these live video Q&As. And I'll talk to you next week, same time, same place. Take care. Over and out.